What a game by the Houston Texans. I mean, who expected them to play this well against Kansas City? They jump out to a 7-0 lead. It's like, oh, not a big deal. It's going to be a shootout, fine, whatever. We can make it happen. A shootout with the Kansas City Chiefs. You expect it if you want to win. But you know what happens? Wrong. Kelsey drops the sure first down. Kansas City's forced to punt on an ensuing drive. And guess what happens on that punt? The Texans block it, bring it back to the house. 14-0 Texans early. And it's like, man, this really isn't happening. Back-to-back nights, big upsets against powerhouse offenses. But here we go. The Chiefs down 14. No biggie with this offense. But then again, another big drop by the Chiefs on third down, where they're forced to go out there and give the ball back to the Texans once again. Mistake after mistake. But thankfully for the Chiefs, the defense comes up big on the next drive. Only had to rush 3 to get to Deshaun on this one. But then it's like, hey, let's go out there and punt. Let's go out. You know what? Great idea here. Let's send out not our Pro Bowl returner, but let's send out Tyreek Hill, who is also very electric at returning punts. And he is also very good at muffing punts, apparently. A muff punt that results in yet another Houston Texans touchdown. This team's up 21-0 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Who's seen it coming? You'd think the game's all but over, but Bill O'Brien and these Texans go out and impress us in some sort of way here. I mean, you couldn't have drawn up a worse start for the Kansas City Chiefs. You talk about a team being out. First off, you gotta have to go out there and give your hat and tip your hat off to these Kansas City Chiefs, man. Even with the Chiefs finding themselves down 24, this crowd is still ecstatic out there. And then things start to change. I mean, how are you up 24-0? And somehow managed to mess this up, Houston? Let's talk about it. I mean, it starts with the Hardman return on the kickoff. I love kickoffs. This is what you have to love, kickoffs. The reason the NFL wants to, it still blows my, could talk about that for days about the NFL kickoff and how it makes absolutely no sense here. It's a momentum shifter. And this game proved it. Whether you want to look back at all the ridiculous play calls or the big plays Houston and, Kansas City had in this game and call it a momentum shift, nothing shifted the momentum more than Kansas City being down 24-0. This offense is falling to pieces at this point in time. Like you said, just went 3 and out on 3 consecutive drops. They need something to jolt this offense, get that confidence back. What happens? Hardman brings this back. Big return for Kansas City, gets great field position. That kickoff brings the momentum. Patrick Mahomes does the rest. Kansas City scores, gets back on the board, or gets on the board for the first time, 24-7. But I mean, hey, if you don't get the kick return, how in the heck do the Texans plan on choking away this lead? Oh, that's right, with some crazy play calling. Now I see why Bill O'Brien's head's been on the platter for so long now. A fake punt, up 17 in your own territory. That is what you call a actually, I don't know what to call it, because the more and more I think about this, I think at the time you're up 17, I think it's a stupid play call because you still have the momentum. Yeah, they scored one time, but you have the momentum. Don't mess this up and give them even more life. Like at this time, you're up 17, 3 possessions. You're still in charge of this game. You don't pick up that 4th down on your side of the field and you give them the ball back. All of a sudden, what happens? They're going to go down the field and, they need 30, 40 yards to score, and they do it. Now it's a 10-point game and they feel like they're right back in this game, and you did that for them. I know this Texans defense really struggles from a secondary standpoint, and we've seen that the rest of this game, and I can see where Bill O'Brien was thinking, like, we got to keep the pedal to the metal. There's no lead that's safe in this game. We got to go out there. But man, it wasn't a 7-point game. It wasn't a 10-point game. It wasn't a tie game. It was a 17-point game. I understand them needing to score every single chance they get here, but to just instill more life back into Kansas City with this fake punt, I don't know. I can't get behind it. I guess you just look at, what he's saying is this Texans defense ain't going to stop these guys. They stopped them a couple of drives. That's it, though. But at this point in time, they were stopping them. I feel like you had to show a little bit of confidence there, as much as you want to see them go out there. And like I said, you had to do it. They scored 50-plus points. You expected it. You needed as many points as possible. But you was gifting them points. You gifted it those. You gifted them the ensuing drive where you fumbled the football. It was a momentum shifter type of play call. That is my problem with it. I understand what you wanted to do with it, but at the end of the day, it was, if there wasn't the momentum shift before, which I believe it already started, it was getting even worse, though, where you're seeing all of a sudden now your special teams are the ones playing bad. Your special teams are the ones fumbling footballs, and your special teams are part of the reason you just blew a 24-point lead to the Kansas City Chiefs. 3 touchdowns in 3 minutes. 3 minutes or what? 17 seconds, 18 seconds, whatever it was. You can't do that against Kansas City. You had that lead. You talk about it. Just pound the rock. Play. I wouldn't say play conservative, but Carlos Hyde was playing great. At that time, Carlos Hyde was having another good game. He's played really well against Kansas City this year, and that's what you got to do at Kansas City. You don't want to get into a shootout, especially when you're up 24. When you're up 17, you want to take this game as slow as possible. But again, it's easier said than done because you missed the fake punt, then you fumbled the ball, and that was it. When you was down 3, you knew that was the game. Like, good luck after that. They scored again, but you look at how bad this second quarter was, and say 28 points by Kansas City, down 24 to start or whatever, and you had a chance to go out there and go and put points on the board with under 2 minutes left. They got the ball back, 38 seconds, and they were driving. They got into field goal range. It was a tough end of the field to kick on, but you look back again, what was the problem here? They had no timeouts. They had 38 seconds with no timeouts. Yeah, even one timeout. Again, the bad clock management. You want to go back on a coaching staff having to waste all 3 timeouts. Whether you want to blame it on him or Watson having to play calling, whoever you want to go on there. You had to waste 3 timeouts earlier in the half where you could have put points on the board. Then it's a 1-point game going into halftime. But no, you're down 4. You're giving Kansas City the ball in the second half. It was over. The game was over from there, and it's hard to believe and say that because, Houston jumped out to a 24-0 lead, but it had that feel. You gave Kansas City the momentum. They got rolling, and we talked about that secondary. They couldn't cover Kelsey. They couldn't cover Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, and we've seen that. Even when they tried to double team them, they couldn't do it. It was going to be ugly from there. They couldn't stop Kansas City, and they didn't the rest of the game. It didn't matter how good that Houston offense played. They couldn't catch up. Not down 10. It was down 2 possessions. You was going to need, again, what they needed was what they got in the first quarter, which was big turnovers, big drops, and you needed to take advantage of it, and you needed to hold the lead, and they blew it. That was it. That was the end of the game. Kansas City is an outstanding team. Can't believe Houston blew that lead. It was impressive, though. It was a great game to watch. Really loved that game. One of the best games I've seen in a long time. Good luck to Kansas City, though, here in the conference finals.